The 5 Bible verses that taught me how the universe works. Now, what a lot of people don't understand, especially when we're talking about religious texts, is that there's a lot of esoteric wisdom in there, metaphysical information that explains your position and your relation to the universe. And we're going to dive deep into these scriptures to actually get an understanding of your actual role in this universe, but more importantly, how to rearrange your universe, because the Bible really gives you a blueprint, and this can be extrapolated across all religious texts. And I say that as somebody who's read the Bible, who's got a Quran, who's got a Bhagavad Gita, who's got a Torah, who's got a Talmud, and so on and so forth. So I look for the esoteric wisdom, but there's 5 verses in particular that will give you the most foundational, simplistic understanding into how the universe actually works, and it's been there for thousands of years. So that's what we're going to get into in this video. As you can see, AJ was laughing at my boy, but I think that's a pretty good prayer position. Pretty good. Anyways, let's get into it. Now, before I get into the actual 5 verses that explain the systems of how the universe works, I need to lay down the foundations as always, because chances are a lot of us are accustomed to what I call nigger religion, which is that type of religion that you go to every Sunday, but your life doesn't particularly change. And it's because you're not aware of the actual stages and levels of information throughout these particular books. So I'm going to have to give you an understanding first, foundationally, the perspective or the frequency that we're operating from as we're diving deep into these particular verses. So the first thing that I have to explain to you is the difference between what I call the esoteric, or what is called the esoteric, and what is called the exoteric. Now, the esoteric comes from the Greek word esoterikos, which refers to inner circle specifically. And exoteric comes from the Greek word exoterikos, which is a reference to the outer circle. And you can think about it like this. So, for most of us that grow up in the world, we are taught religion. We are taught information that is on the outside. This is what I conceptualize as slop. Slop is food that has absolutely 0 nutritional benefit, but it soothes your appetite. And that's exactly what, let's say, commoditized religion does, because religion is a business, let's keep it real. Hence why niggas go to church every Sunday giving bare bread away to these pastors, so on and so forth. And the inner, which isn't, bear in mind, this outside stuff, it's for the masses. So let's say 98%. In fact, no, I wrote that in the wrong place. This is the realm of the 2%, which I'm going to explain to you throughout this video. And the exoteric is, chances are, where you are, where you were taught, where your family were taught, your aunties, your grandmas, your granddads, all of those good people. The inner circle is actually what is considered the real deal food, which is actually kept for people that are initiated into particular either esoteric or occultic orders, the high priest, so on and so forth. And this is something that's been maintained over thousands of years. So what we're going to get into today, and our perspective and the frequency we're going to be dissecting these verses from, is going to be from an esoteric standpoint, which is the information that's been reserved thousands of years for the inner, which is exactly what we're going to be getting into. So just in case anything that I say sounds demonic or kind of out there, I'm just giving you an understanding into what you've been programmed to perceive things as versus what it actually is. Now, even before that, there's something still that I need to tell you. Relax, you're gonna get some. We'll get to the verses, I promise, but it's important that I frame things in a particular manner that allows for me to build upon things in an easy way. Okay. Seeing a bit of marks on the board, I can't lie. I can't let it slide. Maybe I do have OCD. I don't know, but I just can't let it slide.
Feel sorry for that Wi-Fi.
What, this one?
Yeah.
Nah, trust me. She loves it. All right, cool. All right, perfect. So, Here's one thing that you guys need to understand, and you're gonna have to understand this merely for the fact that you're now operating on a different frequency. The fact that you're even watching this video up until this point means you're on a different frequency. And because you're on a different frequency, there's something that I have to make you very aware of when it comes to this form of religious text. And this isn't even just religious text. This can be extrapolated to any books, that can be extrapolated to TV shows and movies. Now, this is a bar. I had to write it down. You don't read the Bible, you read your level of consciousness. You have to understand the level of consciousness that you've been accustomed to perceive the Bible limits your perception into what really exists within the Bible. Most people see the Bible solely as a book of literal chronological history, which even from a chronological standpoint doesn't even make sense. But most people see the Bible as literal. But the Bible is not only a book of alchemy, it's an alchemical book. It is an astrological book. It is also a physiological book. And you're probably thinking, physiological, what are you talking about? Well, take the concept of hell. Hell is the idea that there's brimstone. Brimstone is a product of a combination and continuous production of sulfur. Sulfur is also what you have within your stomach when your body becomes acidic. That in of itself is a very, very minor breakdown. But it's not only alchemical, it's not only astrological, it's also physiological, but it's not also just physiological, it's also metaphysical. On my knees, no diddy, metaphysical, and it is also esoteric. But you won't be able to perceive these things based upon certain levels of consciousness. So when you're sharing these verses that I'm about to explain to you that will teach you how the universe works, when you try to show this to other people, they're gonna be like, no, Jesus, he walked on that water. He turned them 5,000 bread loaves. He done that. Like, they're going to be looking at things very literally. And I need you to understand that now, because you're operating on a different level of frequency, you have a different level of consciousness, and your level of consciousness is essentially the revealer of what you're allowed to see in your world. Most people are concerned about what the CIA is hiding or what the FBI is hiding or MI5, but what you really should be concerned about is what your level of consciousness is hiding from you. Because if something is not in your consciousness, it cannot be perceived in your world. You're worried about all these people hiding things from you. Worry about what your mind is hiding from you. And that's based upon what you have within it, because you cannot get anything in the world that is not within your mind. I repeat, you can only experience in the world what you experience within. You can only be given in the world what you've given yourself. All of that was a bar, write that down. So this is all the different aspects of what the Bible is. And of course, this is based on the fact that the Bible is a compilation of ancient, Mesopotamian, Sumerian, mythological allegories for our own spiritual journey on this earth. Now, let's get to the verses. I gotta be with you, gotta be with you, gotta be with you. Chemistry was crazy from the get-go, and neither one of us knew why. You know that song?
I just about got it.
Okay. Can't be without you, baby, and I ain't nothing till you get home. Isn't it funny how she, like, her song, that song, and how she is in Power? In Power, she's like, what the fuck you talking about, Drew? Like she's on mad violence, but like if you actually listen to Mary J's music, like Mary J, she's actually goated. So I like what I see when I'm looking at me when I'm walking past the mirror. It's just the time of the night. Got my head on straight, I got my mind right. I ain't gonna let you kill it. See, I would change my life just fine. And Family Affair. Let's get it crunk up on that, front up on that, in this dancery. Nah, she's like that. I don't know why she's always so like uptight in Power. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I want to talk about what happened though, because I don't want to spoil it
Did
for
you
some
watch it?
niggas that, yeah, I watched it, bro. I don't want to spoil it for some niggas. So, you're probably thinking, Nero, get to it, relax. You're gonna get some, just relax. You're about to be taught biblically how the universe works. So, first verse. Bear in mind, guys, you won't get this from church. I promise you that. Nigga, I used to go to church all the time when I was younger. And I used to ask the pastor all these questions. And they would just tap me on the shoulder and be like, God will reveal. And in a sense, he was right. But Ephesians 5:13. And I'll get AJ to put it up on the screen so you can look at it. And apologies if I miss out a single word, because it's off top. Ephesians 5:13. All things that are made manifest by the light. For whatever makes manifest is the light. Now, I'm going to write this verse down just so I can break it down in a lot more detail, because this in of itself is foundational to your concept of understanding how the process of creation and creating your reality takes place. Now, for the new niggas that are here and you're not accustomed to what we do here, we help you create your reality. And when I say we, I mean me, AJ, and all the niggas in the comments that are with you right now, because we're always in the comments. Because one thing that is critical is that spirituality without the ability to control your reality is vanity. You can't walk around and say you're God and then worry about bailiffs and you can't even pay for shit. That's just not the reality that we're in. We're not here for spiritual ego and spiritual vanity and taking on this particular identity if you're not in your desired reality. Your entire spiritual journey should be a concept that you use to revolve around your self-evolution and make sure that the information you're taking in leads to that. This ain't about love and light, beloved. I could give a fuck about less about that. And the funny thing about spiritual niggas is that their personality is either love and light or darkness and gloom, and they're like, you know, oh my God, you know, you see the low vibrational entities and all of this and all of that. So just keep it cool. Now, just to write down the key points, and of course, as I've said the verse, but I'm going to write it, you know, paraphrasing. Now, it might say all things are exposed by the light, or it might say all things are made manifest by the light. All things are made manifest by the light. For whatever manifests is light. All right, cool. So, a lot of critical points in this particular verse. All things. When it's talking about all things, it is talking about everything that exists within our reality or our third dimensional realm, also known as the physical plane. Everything around you, everything in the world, that is all things. All things are made manifest. Manifest is nothing more than the physical expression of a mental creation. That is actually what manifestation is versus my definition of manifestation, or a process which is internally shifting to a degree to which you're no longer emotionally dependent upon seeing reality change. That is my definition that I've accumulated over these couple of years studying it. But the actual, let's say if we was to make it a literal definition, it's simply the process of the physical expression of a mental creation. Another way of conceptualizing it, you can think about it like printing. If you print out a document, you're taking it from one state to another. That is what manifesting is. All things, so everything within our reality, our third dimensional realm, our physical plane, but more importantly, your world is made manifest by light. Now, light is a very important word in the realm of metaphysics, because let me ask you a question, and this should give you a light bulb moment, no pun intended. When you're watching a cartoon and you see a cartoon character get an idea, what comes above their head, AJ?
Light bulb.
Light bulb. Why? Because light in the realm of metaphysics, and that's actually an esoteric reference, light is information, which is consciousness. That's why when an idea comes above a cartoon character's head, they get a light bulb, because light in the realm of metaphysics is known as information, which is consciousness. And consciousness is the substance of what your mind is made out of. Another variation of consciousness is saying imagination. So essentially, all things, everything within our third dimensional realm, physical plane, your world is made manifest, is physically expressed by light, by consciousness. For whatever manifests is light. Everything in your world, everything that is manifested, including this whiteboard, including this pen, including baby oil, all of these things are nothing more than the physical expression of somebody's state of consciousness, or a creation within somebody's consciousness. This is foundational when we're talking about how the universe works, because everything that you conceptualize to be physical is nothing more than an expression of light. For whatever makes manifest, this wall included, this whiteboard included, these pens included, this bracelet included, all of these things are nothing more than the manifestation of light, which is consciousness. So essentially, what this is saying is that consciousness and what the world is made out of, matter. Another way of saying consciousness is the mind. These things are the same thing. They are the same thing, simply in different vibratory states. Consciousness and matter is essentially what the world is made out of. So let's say the world is nothing more than a creation of consciousness. And this can be extrapolated and actually interlinked to the first Hermetic principle, which is the idea that the all is mind and the mind is all. The universe is entirely a mental creation. And it is true, because before anything can be physically expressed, it first must be mentally expressed. This is the nature through which reality is created. Now, this is very important for you to understand in the realm of metaphysics and reality creation, because if your reality is based upon your physical expression of your mental creation, if you want to change your world, the physical expression, you don't change it by changing the physical expression. You change it first by changing the mental creation. If you want to change the things that are made manifest in your world, the first thing you need to change is the light. And the light is your consciousness and your state of consciousness. So it is a mental equivalent. Essentially, in order for you to materialize any condition of reality, your desired reality, before it can exist in the physical plane, it first must already be established as a mental, emotional equivalent within you as an internal state, because that sets in motion that particular vibration. That vibration compounds into a frequency. That frequency is corresponded with a particular reality. And when you've done everything else, that reality then collapses into you, and then you experience that manifestation. And this is very important, because what a lot of people don't realize is that if all things are made manifest by light, then where we need to truly be placing our attention to is the light. For whatever manifests is light. So it's important to understand, before you want to change things, change the light. Light is information, state of consciousness. Your state of consciousness, when we're talking about state of consciousness, essentially what I'm saying is you want to alter the mental, emotional state you're in to be the equivalent of your desired reality. Ephesians 5:13, ladies and gentlemen. I told you we're cooking. We're just getting started. We're just getting started. Relax, you're gonna get something. AJ is nodding his head. That means things are flowing. Now, let's move on to the next verse. By the way, I want to congratulate one of the guys who commented on the last video that we did. The video about the silence of God. He said that he manifested a job in the European Astronaut Center, and he's working on lunar missions. Congratulations, my bro, that's amazing. And you said that you'll invite me to try on the spacesuit or whatever. Listen, I don't know if you're trying to get me to get changed in front of you or whatever. I don't know why you mentioned me trying on spacesuits and all of this, but yeah, nonetheless, my bro, congratulations. Honestly, congratulations. That's what we like to see over here. And it's funny because I was on an interview with somebody who was applying to be my client, and he was telling me why he actually applied to be my client in the first place. Do you know what he said? He was like to me, I was like to him, why do you think I can help you? And he was like, I've been watching your videos and I had some money that the bank was holding, like 6 figures worth. And he said, for the longest time, they just wouldn't release it. And he said, I started watching your videos and I started embodying some of the principles you were talking about, and they released a chunk of it. And he was like, even my relationship with my wife, like, it's improved. And I was like, wow, just from watching my videos. That's truly amazing. Now, if you guys are interested in actually working with me, if you're an entrepreneur who's stuck at a revenue ceiling and you want to break out in the next 7 weeks and you want a 2 to 5 extra revenue, then link in the description. And this is crazy because I had a client who came to me and she was stuck at 15K for over a year. 2 months, within 2 months, she just hit 50K and she met some fucking oil tycoon and she's about to get into business with him. So shout out to you, Amal. I'm very, very proud of you. I know you're going to be smiling when you see this. I'm proud of you. But next verse, ladies and gentlemen. Next verse. Which one should we go with? Let's go with this one. Because this one's going to answer a question that we've all asked ourselves at one point or another, which is, why do bad things happen to good people? I'm a good person. Why should it just keep going left for me? I'm a nice guy. You know, like, why does it keep going left for me? It's all because of this one verse, ladies and gentlemen. Acts 10:34. Somebody said, wow, it's really true. The smart people do have the worst handwriting. First of all, fuck you. I'm pretty sure my handwriting is blessed.
It's not that bad.
What do you mean it's not that bad? Anyways, God is no respecter of persons. Now, for the longest time, a lot of us, especially, you know, with the particular societal system that we live in, morality, religious indoctrination, we have this particular idea that if we want to have a good life, we must appease this particular God. The first thing I need to tell you niggas is that there is no man sat in the sky that is dictating the course of human events, deciding that, you know what, this person prayed for a Benz, I'm gonna give you a Benz. You prayed for that new job, you showed up to church every week, you know, I'm gonna give it to you. But that kid that's being bombed in that war-torn country is praying to me, I'm just not going to respond to them. That's not how things work. It doesn't work like that at all. And it's important for you to understand this, because I could never understand this. When I was kind of, you know, detach myself from religion, that question that I even just posed to you, you know, why would God answer one prayer? You know, why do pastors only perform miracles in church and not in hospitals? All these different type of questions that I had in my mind could never be answered. And it just never made sense to me why, you know, my mom, being this amazing angel, would be suffering to the degree that we were in this particular environment, working as hard, so on and so forth. It just never made sense to me. And then I'd ask myself the question of, why do bad things happen to good people? Why would God allow that to happen? I want to make God happy, no? Like, I want to, you know, pray, you know, whatever. And it wasn't until I came across this verse later on in my life, things made complete sense. Because what you need to conceptualize God as isn't an individual who sat in the sky allowing for certain atrocities to happen and not others, because that can really shake us internally, and that type of stuff still annoys me. God is an impersonal energy. God is an impersonal energy, similar to electricity or fire. Fire can be used for you. Fire can harm you or help you depending upon your use of it. Electricity can do the same. Electricity doesn't hate a nigga that it shocks to death. It's not like, yeah, fuck, yeah, I got you. It's not like that. And fire's neither the same. Same way that rain, you know, falls on the good people and the bad people. It's the understanding that God is a particular impersonal energy. And when I say impersonal energy, what I'm talking about in particular is the highest state of energy, the highest frequency, also known as the Most High. And when you conceptualize God to be that, but more particularly, that frequency is nothing more than an observer based upon the creations that you experience in your life, then you come to an understanding of why bad things actually happen to good people. This impersonal energy, this frequency, this consciousness, which is what God ultimately is the same consciousness that is within us. And because that's the same consciousness that is within us, that consciousness is then led to be the substance of what our reality is created from. Our reality is created from that substance. So then it all is about that consciousness. So when we see God, don't think of this individual who has a particular personality, because the concept of God even having a personality is nothing more than human vanity, because we are, giving God humanistic characteristics when God is above this third dimensional realm, which means God is above human tendencies, or really and truly should be. Even when you take the word personality, comes from the word persona. Persona has the etymological origins in mask. God can't have a mask. You understand what I'm saying? In a sense, though, we are all masks that God is wearing. AJ is a mask that God is wearing, and so is a stranger down the street. But for the mere understanding that when we see God, the way that I want you to conceptualize God in this sense, when we're talking about consciousness, is a universal, impersonal law. And because it's universal and impersonal, it simply reflects whatever it is given. The state of consciousness that we hold is outpictured, and that's it. It's not like God hates you. It's not like God loves you. God has no favorites. This verse actually tells you God is no respecter of persons. If you go to other versions of this verse, it will say God does not show favoritism. And this is for you to understand that it's not about the physical actions that you do. It's not about the physical actions that you do that's going to make God happy and put you in a good reality. It's not about donating to the homeless and doing all of this other shit, even though you should do that for the mere fact of the law of circulation, which is another concept entirely. But it is about the state of consciousness that you hold. Now, why do bad things happen to good people? Please remember this, so you never ask yourself this question again in your life, or you never say, why me? I want you to stop saying that shit. The reason why bad things happen to good people is because good people have bad states of consciousness. It is that simple. And if you have a bad state of consciousness, that consciousness is going to be outpictured into your reality and experienced as a condition, circumstance, or event in your reality. God is no respecter of persons. God doesn't give a fuck about how many good things you do or how many bad things you do. And I know that sounds fucked up, and it is. But this is why bad people have great states of consciousness and self-perceptions. They see themselves as powerful. They see themselves as capable. They have unwavering confidence in their ability to do anything. All of these characteristics output to a particularly strong frequency. That strong frequency has more of an opportunity to materialize their desired reality, whereas all us type of good people have bad particular states of self-concepts. We have bad states of consciousness, and we see ourselves as low and humble, and we don't want to do too much, and we don't want to make too much noise, and we don't want to accept, and we don't want to upset anyone. And because we have this inherently as our state of consciousness, go back to Ephesians 5:13, everything that we experience, all things are made manifest by our light, our particular self-conception, our state of consciousness, our frequency. So unfortunately, and it sounds fucked up, that's why bad people get what the fuck they want. It's simply because they have good states of consciousness that reflect their desired reality. This whole manifestation shit, I need you to get this out your head, that you need to make the universe happy or make God happy. All you have to do is to get into the mental equivalent, emotional equivalent state of consciousness that's reflective of your desired reality. So you occupy the beliefs, the emotionally charged thoughts, the identity, the attention, and emotional conviction of whatever state it is that you want. Once you tick off each one of those characteristics, you will enter that particular frequency. Then it's about your ability to maintain that frequency long enough for it to materialize down onto this physical plane. That is what it's about. It's not about making God happy or getting heaven points, nigga. You're not getting heaven points. You can do all of this shit that you want to do. You're not going to get heaven points and get into your desired reality. If you want to get into your desired reality, you need to stack up desired reality points. And that's about doing everything that I just mentioned, taking off one of these characteristics, because God is no respecter of persons. The sun shines on the worst niggas and the good niggas. It's no difference. And I need you to understand that and take this game out your head that they've implanted into your head, that morality is how you're going to get to your desired reality. Because unfortunately, it's not. The only thing that will get you to your desired reality is the frequency that you're occupying. Now, please be a moral person, because I don't want to live in a society where you are moralless. I don't want that. But if I'm giving it to you in a real hard way, pause, it's about the frequency that you occupy and making sure that that is the emotional, mental equivalent of the desired reality that you wish to take on. This is the game, because us niggas at the bottom are kind of guilt tripped and pulled on our emotional strings to be one particular type of way. And it's actually not until you have the ability to sever those ties that you're going to be stuck. And this is what it says in the Bible. Don't take this up with me. Take it up in the Bible. Acts 10:34. God is no respecter of persons. You know, somebody asked me, Nero, because I think in one video, AJ, you actually put where I grew up in a video, and someone was like, damn, that's the ghetto. How did you not end up in the streets, Nero? I'll tell you how I didn't end up in the streets. You want to know why I never did any criminal activities? One, I was scared. And I was scared of two things in particular. One, I was scared that God would make me the example, nigga. Like, I feel like I'd do it and God would make me the example. And simply because I had that belief, that would have manifested now looking back. And the second is Fleece Johnson. That's why I'm not committing no crimes. And if you don't know who Fleece Johnson is, just hear these lines. I like you and I want you. Now we can do this the easy way, we can do this the hard way. The choice is yours. And if you still don't get it, then you can either go search that nigga up or just, don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it. But that's why I never committed no crimes. Listen, Fleece Johnson made me say I'm never committing a crime on this earth. I'm never ever committing a crime. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
Fleece Johnson's finished.
I had to show AJ Fleece Johnson before we recorded. Boondocks is too funny. That guy said, booty is more important than drinking water. It's more important.
Man said it was more important than food.
More important than food. Okay. So, next verse. AJ, please make sure I'm saying the right things here. John 7:24. Don't judge according to appearance, but judge by righteous judgment. That's the right one, isn't it? Perfect. So, guys, this is the Sunday school that you niggas really wish you got. This would be the Sunday school that would put a lot of us in our desired reality. But this ain't happening in our Sunday school. My Sunday school, it was pastors going like this to people. Don't judge according to. You know that happened to me once.
What?
So the pastor, they must have been doing some shit like that. Obviously I went to a Pentecostal church. If you niggas don't know about Pentecostal church, that's the ones where it's boom, and it's like it's very, very theatrical. So the pastor must have been like dropping niggas, just like boom, just dropping people. And it came to me, and he's pushing me, and I'm just there like. And he was like, just 4. Oh man. Righteous judgment. Cool, so this verse actually interlinks with the verse from Corinthians. But first I'll explain to this. So in this concept, you first have to understand, don't judge according to appearance. By the way, I spelled that right, guys. I know my handwriting just looks a bit crazy, but I spelled it right, trust me. Don't judge according to appearance. Now, what is appearance? When we're talking about appearance is what you see. And what we see is what we call our reality. But what we call reality is an illusion. Hence why in the ancient Hindu traditions, they called it the world of Maya, the world of illusion. Why is it an illusion? It's an illusion because we only see 0.035% of what actually exists. We only see because of something called visible light. Visible light is a tiny portion of the entirety of the electromagnetic spectrum, infrared, ultraviolet, so on and so forth. Visible light is the only reason why we see. We then see because of a process called refraction, which is light bouncing off surfaces into our eyes. Don't judge according to appearance, because the thing about appearance is that appearance is an illusion. Everything that you see, everything that you've been accustomed to see, your particular condition, circumstance, or event of reality that you're going through, it's an illusion. It's nothing more than a creation, specifically a delayed creation of consciousness. Go back to Ephesians 5:13. if you're experiencing something, all things are made manifest by the light. The light is consciousness. This particular circumstance that you're going through is nothing more than a delayed state of consciousness. But because you haven't untrained your mind from attaching the realness that it attributes to reality, as you're experiencing something, you're not saying, this is from an old frequency. This is from an old state of consciousness that I'm moving away from. This is the old me. You're attaching it and experiencing it firsthand, and then actually reinforcing and reaffirming that particular state of consciousness. So it doesn't just become delayed anymore, it becomes reaffirmed, and then that's what you see, that's your reality, and that's your illusion. Now, the thing about what you see is this. What we see, and this is a bar, so make sure you write this down, and I just said this off the top of my head, like in my head, sorry. Damn, I lost it. You don't see the world as it is. You see it as you are. You see the world through the tint on the frames of the lenses that you're seeing the world through. But you don't realize that you have frames that are tinted. And because you don't see that, you're unaware of it. Now, here's the thing. You don't see the world as it is. You see it as you are. Because your world is a creation of your consciousness. And the thing about it would mean that your perception, actually, the way that you look at something is actually based upon the way that you are. And how you are, not what you want, is what the world is going to give you. So your perception actually leads to your projection of reality. But then when your reality is being projected onto you, you're thinking, fuck, what am I doing? What's going on here? This is real. And it just gets you back into what I call the PP, pause. The projection, perception, projection, perception loop. And a lot of people are stuck in this loop. They're not happy with what they see in the world, but they're happy with what they see in themselves. And one of my favorite authors, philosophers, he said, James Allen, he says, men are unsatisfied with their conditions, but they're satisfied with themselves. Doesn't make sense. Because your condition and you are nothing more than one. You're actually both intertwined. Your circumstance and your consciousness are directly intertwined. And so many people are unsatisfied with what they see outside of themselves. They're unsatisfied with what they see. And because they're unsatisfied with what they see, they then hold the frequency of unsatisfaction and that state of consciousness of unsatisfaction. Then the universe, doing nothing more than being a magnifier of however you're feeling, seeks to use conditions, circumstances, and events and people to make you more unsatisfied, which means then the projection that you experience in your reality is nothing more than the creation of your perception. Now, here's the thing. Don't judge according to appearance. I've just told you why you shouldn't judge according to appearance. You need to judge by righteous judgment. And what is righteous judgment, ladies and gentlemen? Righteous judgment, no diddy on my knees, is what I call mind sight. Mind sight is nothing more than the ability for you to hold to the frequency of your desired reality as something that already exists despite what the world is showing you. Because what the world is showing you is a delayed form of consciousness. You need to understand that what you're seeing is a delayed process of creation. So even your ability to create your desired reality isn't going to be something that happens instantly. That is going to be delayed. But a lot of people get caught out in the delayed game and they end up falling off without realizing what's really going on. You need to judge by righteous judgment. Righteous judgment is the higher level, higher frequency understanding that this is an illusion. I'm in my desired reality. I'm operating from my beliefs, emotionally charged thoughts, attention, emotional conviction, and identity of my desired reality, despite what the world is showing me. And because, what's my definition of manifestation, ladies and gentlemen? Manifestation is internally shifting to a degree to which you're no longer emotionally dependent upon seeing reality change. Because you're there and you don't need to see reality change, you have manifested. Because remember, manifestation isn't about changing anything outside of you. It's about changing everything internally so that things don't need to change outside of you. And at that point, you would have collapsed the energetic space in between you and things would manifest. And this is what is being referenced when it says, judge by righteous judgment. Righteous judgment is a higher frequency, higher level of awareness, of understanding through the process of how reality is actually manufactured into your reality. Because if you get caught up by appearance, you get caught up in your perception. You get caught out in your perception, you get caught out in your projection, then you're fucked, quite simply. Make sense? Good. I like you and I want you. Now we can do this the easy way, we can do this the hard way. The choice is yours. Guys, this next verse, I remember when I was Christian, this verse puzzled me for the longest time. And it wasn't until I understood metaphysics and manifestation and all of this stuff why this verse finally clicked. So just relax, you're gonna get some, just wait. So AJ, what anime are you watching next, my boy?
That's it for me, bro. No more anime.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Why are you being like that? You enjoyed Death Note. Why are you being like that?
Death Note was clearly an exception.
Clearly an exception. In order for you to know something is an exception, you need to see the average. That's a bar, write that down. Real talk, though. How can you actually say that, bro? You have to lock into some other ones.
Nah, bro.
Don't be like that. Don't be like that. Don't be like that.
Unless there's another anime that's like Death Note.
There's animes better than Death Note.
There definitely isn't.
I promise you there is.
Definitely.
Bro, Death Note is like Death Note.
Because you know why? Halfway through Death Note, when they changed the theme song and all of that shit, that's when it was kind of going downhill.
Don't do that.
Other animes.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Other animes are longer.
Don't do that.
What kind of shit they put.
Bro, trust me. There's one's better than Death Note. You like Death Note because of all the suspense and shit and all the twists and turns, innit?
Yeah, bro.
Nigga, you don't know about Shingeki no Kyojin, my boy.
I don't know who they
Attack on Titan.
Nah,
I know you've heard of Attack on Titan.
I've heard of it.
Of course you have.
It's nothing like Death Note.
You haven't even watched it. Guys,
We
I
didn't do no petition. I'm gonna start a petition in the comments.
Guys, like I told you. All right, serious now, lock in, stop laughing. Now, this verse in particular, like I told you, I hope I spelled Isaiah right. Isaiah 45:7. This verse had me confused for the longest time when I was growing up. Because I just couldn't understand it. I just couldn't understand it. You know, as a religious person, you're taught that the whole world is in God's hands and God can do anything at any time and God created everything. So God created the evil. It's like, what? It's this kind of... But this verse actually sums it up perfectly from a esoteric perspective, beautifully actually. And this verse states something according, I form the light and the darkness. I form the peace and the calamity or chaos. What is it? I form the light, I form the darkness, I form the peace and the chaos. I, the Lord, do all these things. That's what it says, right, AJ? Perfect.
I formed the light and create the darkness.
Peace, calamity,
Yep.
and then I, the Lord, do all these things.
Yep.
Perfect. I, the Lord, do all these things. Ooh, this verse. This verse is beautiful for a number of reasons. The first thing that you have to understand and alter actually is this. When you see the word Lord, another way of conceptualizing Lord, so in fact, let me write that here. So when you see the word Lord here, another way you can conceptualize Lord is God. God is, remember, impersonal consciousness. That impersonal consciousness is within you, and that impersonal consciousness leads to your reality. And that impersonal consciousness is almost a universal law. Hence Acts 10:34, that was a bar, because it rhymed. I form the light and the darkness. I form the peace and the chaos or calamity. I, consciousness, universal law, do all these things. I is a reference to the ego. The ego is the five physical senses. The ego is the vessel that you occupy within this third dimensional realm. So when it's saying I, it's talking about you. As you're reading this, you say I, as in me. Right? My avatar. The avatar that God is operating in this third dimensional realm, because that's what you are, right? You don't, you know, how do I say this? You have a body, but you're a spirit. You understand what I'm saying? I form the light and the darkness. Why? Because light and the darkness is a particular state of condition of reality, which nothing more is really a polarity. So I form the light in my life and the darkness in my life based upon what? Impersonal consciousness, God, universal law, boom. I form the peace and the chaos in my life. How many of you niggas say, I just want peace? I just want peace in my life. I just want peace. I just want peace. You can't have anything that you want. Wanting is an indication that you don't have it. So you're actually creating the calamity and the chaos by saying that you want peace. And by you saying you want peace, it's almost as if the world can give you peace. The world cannot give you peace until you give it to yourself first. Remember, it is the internal that leads to the external. You need to take your attention, your focus off reality and shift it to you internally. Because once you do that, that is when you redirect to the true source of creation. That is when you step away from the false gods. Thou shalt not worship false gods. False gods is anything that you decide is inherently more powerful than you from a point of frequency in your reality. That's including the world around you, by the way. So don't think it's about niggas saying, oh my God, it's Lil Wayne, it's Jay-Z, these are the false gods and the false. No, it's actually poverty. It's actually struggle. It's actually oppression. It's actually, yeah. So I form the light and the darkness. I form the peace and the chaos. I, the Lord, do all these things. So every particular state, condition, event, circumstance of your reality that you experience, which is either good or bad, light or dark, peace or chaos. Essentially what it's saying is all the polarities that we experience in our reality, good, bad, positive, negative, peace, chaos, these are something that we create, and we create it from the awareness of the fact that it is our consciousness that leads to our reality. So when we're seeing the Lord is a reference to a universal law. God, impersonal consciousness. Impersonal consciousness is the substance of your reality. It leads to your creation of reality. Remember, go back to Ephesians 5:13. All things are made manifest by the light. For whatever manifests is light. It's the exact same thing. Lock into what I'm saying. Now, and this is so beautiful because even if we go, now I'm about to go on a tangent here because verses are just coming to the top of my head. Even if we go to Revelations, is it Revelations 22:30? Can you do me a favor, check Revelations 22:30. Revelations 22:30 should be essentially Jesus saying, I am the morning star, I'm the offspring of David, I'm the bright early morning star. Revelations 22:30. Does it say morning star? That's what I want to know.
22:30.
Yeah. Revelation 22:30. Technical difficulties here, guys. Because I just want to make sure I get the verse right. Because one thing that I'm not going to do, as you've seen with every other verse, I got it right. And I don't want to mislead you and put you into... It's there, Revelation 22:30.
No results found.
No results found. Type in Revelations. And then type in morning star verse.
22:16.
22:16. Does he say offspring morning star?
He says, I, Jesus, have sent my angel to testify to you.
Perfect. Revelations 22:16. Absolutely perfect. Thank you. Because I don't want the Bible, because I'm giving you guys this information off the top of my head. I don't want the Bible bangers when you're trying to give these verses, they're like, you're saying the wrong thing. By the way, if you want context for these verses, I can give you context. But in reference to Revelation 22:16, this is just off the top of my head, right? Because one thing that is mentioned in that verse is Jesus. And Jesus is talking about how he is the morning star, right? The morning star. If you check the definition of Lucifer, one of the definitions for the word Lucifer is bright early morning star. Why is Jesus identifying as Lucifer or the devil? It's because this is representative of the two inherent polarities that are within you. The light is Jesus, the darkness is Lucifer. And that's on a very simplistic level. So when we're talking about I form the light and I form the darkness, every single thing that we may attribute in our lives, because niggas like to do this, something will go wrong, they'll be like, oh, it's the devil. And my grandma's like this. I love you, grandma. She'll, something will go wrong and she'll be like, oh, the devil's working hard. The devil's doing something. And this is a widespread belief on a collective level. But with this understanding, it's like, where does the devil fit into your life when it says, I form the light and I form the darkness? The darkness that you experience, the adversity, the struggle, the suffering, that is all a byproduct of your state of consciousness and a direct reflection of your state of consciousness based upon the polarity that we inherently have within us, which is one of Jesus, Christ, the consciousness, and Lucifer in that particular state, or the devil, representative of descending down into the lowest of frequencies and being caught up in the illusionary realm around us. So, Isaiah 45:7, ladies and gentlemen. Now the final verse. And other verses are coming to the top of my head, such as John 10:34. John 10:34, Jesus says, "Is it not written in your law, I have said ye are gods?" In that particular story, the people at the time were accusing him of blasphemy and saying that, you're walking around saying that you're this guy, the Son of God, and you're God and all of this, what's going on? And he says, "Is it not written in your law, I have said that you guys are gods?" And it's funny because I asked my pastor at the time, I asked him, at that time I said, what's going on here? And he was like, oh, he doesn't mean that. What? And obviously, I could see my mom in the corner side-eyeing me like this, you know what I'm saying? So I took a couple steps back because I could see that it wasn't making sense. That particular story, Jesus is letting you know that you are gods because that is what Jesus is reflective of. Hence why also in John, Jesus said, the works that I do, you can do as well. And you can do greater because it's nothing more than the embodiment of the Christ consciousness. The Christ consciousness is nothing more than the materialization of the one source consciousness going through your particular avatar, that one particular state. It is a unity in the understanding of your relationship and your connection to that God consciousness, because once you're at that point, then things tend to flow in a bit easier. Now the final verse. Is actually something that Jesus mentioned himself. It actually links to a verse in Matthew. So I'm going to write this down right here just because it's interlinked. I can, of myself, do nothing. And of course, there's some other stuff in that verse, but the top line is the most important thing, because what this is referencing is a correct understanding in the hierarchy of consciousness in your creation. You can't manifest shit. You can't. You can't change your reality. You can't do anything. The only person that can do something is the aspect of the infinite intelligence, the God within you. That is who can do something. That particular aspect of your consciousness is beyond the illusion that you're confined to within this third dimensional realm. And that's what you need to tap into. Hence why the old cliche saying, let go and let God. Let go is to let go of the ego, the left hemisphere of the brain that's attached to trying to do everything by itself and conceptualizing and categorizing everything, and allowing the infinite God, which is beyond the illusions, to alter your reality within. And in order to do that, you have to come to the understanding that I can myself do nothing. And that's what Jesus said, because he understood that Jesus himself wasn't the one that was doing anything. The individual that was doing everything was the God within. And hence why in Matthew, Jesus says, with men, this is impossible, but with God, all things are possible. How often do you connect to God? And I don't mean praying to God that you're not pregnant, or your girl's not pregnant. I truly mean, for example, going into the silence, and I've got a previous video about this, entering the inner dimension, the true temple of God, as it says, as Solomon said, the temple, I believe that's Acts 17:24. God's temple is not built with hands, right? Understanding that you are the God's temple, as it says in Corinthians, the Spirit of God dwelleth in you. Coming to the understanding that once you enter that particular aspect of you, then that's when you get yourself out the way, because the issue is right now you're trying to do everything yourself. You've got too much of a firm grip on the physical plane. Manifestation requires successful alignment across all three planes of existence: physical, mental, spiritual. You first align yourself on the spiritual, then the mental, and then the physical last. The part of the spiritual is understanding that you can't do anything and letting go of your desire to try to do everything yourself, and actually stepping into a point of being one with the universal life energy. And when we're talking about universal life force energy, this is just another way of me saying God really and truly. And understanding, as it says in Psalm 46:10, be still and know that I am God. If you want to tap into that God version of you and allow things to be done, then you actually need to get yourself out of the world and enter the inner world and be still. Because before you can know God and use that God to actually alter your reality, you first must be still, entering into the silence, entering a particular condition in a state of peace. Because that is the first step to actually aligning with the universal God force. And then it's a bunch of other things, such as calm, such as serenity, such as confidence, such as knowing. Once you enter all of these particular things, that's when you come to the understanding that you of yourself do nothing, but it is God that makes all things possible, as was said in Matthew.